Hi, Dale Titus here with today's 2-minute bass lesson. I've mentioned in previous lessons that I utilize loopers quite a bit, and I have for a long time. And some students asked me to go a little bit farther into how I use them, what ones work, and I definitely am glad to respond. Now, loopers are basically digital recorders. They can record, and most of them now you can overdub as much as you have memory for, and you can build compositions, and I love that. And as a practicing basis, it's great because I can play chords and then record them, have them play back with some of the loopers have drum machines on them. Most of them have at least a click track, and then you can play over them, improvise over them, hear really what your scales and arpeggios do against the chords. You can also use it as a composing tool, which is another main way that I use it, where I can, without having to go up to my computer studio, I can actually just kind of work out verse, chorus, chords, things, and hear the effect before I even get to the stage of starting to really develop a more formal composition. So why don't we stop tape, and I'll move the camera position. You can see the looper I'm using, and I can maybe go over some of the basics, and then suggest some other thing. So see you down there. All right, we're down here now. This is my Boss RC50, and I've played with a lot of loopers before, and in fact I kind of fancy myself as a collector for a while. And the RC50 is the one that I do my clinics with, I teach most of my lessons with, and it's one of the best composing tools I have for just on the fly, making up stuff. The RC50 has a bunch of drum patterns on it. Actually comes loaded with some songs and grooves, and because you can connect it to your computer, which most of the new loopers you can actually import your own MP3 files. If you want to work on a song, you can. The Boss always includes a CD-ROM with a bunch of extra grooves and things. In fact, I should demonstrate that because that's one of my favorite aspects when I first got it. Is you could actually practice improvising over complete grooves. Now, one thing before I turn on one of the grooves and check it out. The RC50 is separated from a lot of the crowd because it has 3 tracks, if you will. You can actually set up, a verse, a chorus, and a solo section, or a verse, a chorus, and an ending, and they work really great. So one of the patches it came loaded with was the Funky Blues. You can hear it here. So it's a complete band, a recording of a complete band. So you can practice improvising. Now you can go to another section. I hit phrase 2. When phrase 1 finishes, it'll go to phrase 2 and play an alternate section of the song. So now phrase 2 is playing. So that goes on. And that's what I really like about the way Boss does is they include so many preset grooves that you can play to that help you work out your improvisation for all instruments, keyboards, guitars, bass players. It's great. But that's just one small element. Of course, you can compose with it. And as I mentioned before, if you want to work like how a verse goes smoothly into a chorus, you could record the verse on one and the chorus on the other. As I mentioned before, it comes loaded with a ton of drums. It's MIDI, so I sometimes link it with my my Boss drum machine, and it really is a performance tool. But I should say, as I mentioned before, there's a ton of other loopers on the market, and you just need to find the one that works best for you. So now you've kind of seen the one I'm using. Let's do a little demo on how I actually play with it. Okay, so after looking close up at my looper, let me just show you one way that I like to use it. Let's say I want to improvise, practice improvising over an E dominant chord, but using E Dorian. What I can do is set up a drum beat and record an E dominant chord over it. So it might be like this. It might be. So I'll first set down the chords. Now I've hit the loop and it's now looping. You can hear my chords still playing. So if I want to practice, like E Dorian against E dominant, now I can play. What's great about the Boss loopers is I can actually turn down the track. So if the chords are a little too loud, I can just adjust them so they're a little quieter. So you can hear all my scale goodness. if you want to practice your slap, no problem. So that's just one way that you can use the looper to give you the consistent chord or chord progression that just loops forever, and you can really develop ideas. And that's the fun part of practicing with it, because if you tried to get a guitarist to play for 30 minutes one chord, he'd probably kill you. So here you've got a practice partner and a composition partner that's ultimately patient. So I encourage you to look for a looper that fits your budget and fits for what you want to do. The RC50 might be more than you're looking for. You might not need all the bells and whistles, but there's other Boss and Jamman loopers by Digitech. The Boomerang, Superlative, or whatever it's called. There's a lot of great ones out there. You just have to find them, try them out yourself, and see what you need it for. Many of my students have bought the least expensive loopers out there, and they do great. I also want to remind you that the Line 6 DL4 delay modeler has a looper on it, and it's very good. I used it for many years. So that's a big long lesson on loopers, but I really believe they're a key component to the improvising bassist and the composing bassist. And you know what? Give it a shot. Go and try one at your local music store and hopefully pick up one. If you do and you have questions about it, please just email me at dalet@dannybegoodz.com. Believe me, I love talking loopers. So I hope to hear from you guys, and I hope you give loopers a shot. See you later.